Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on another hunt. I've got my trusty YouTube producer slash WalkB4UHuntNZ marketing manager, chief operations officer, LaWanda here with me today. So that's really nice. We're doing an overnighter in the Korowai Torlesse Tussocklands Park. We've sort of just made our way up from the car. It's just started sort of raining a little bit. This is all in the weather, so we knew this was going to happen. So we're going to cruise up to the tops, find a place to camp up, try and get a little bit out of the weather. It's coming slightly from a different direction than I thought it would, but it's not. It's just yeah. So like all good walks to hopefully good hunting spots, there's a whopper of a hill in front of it. Let's get on with it. It's real yum. An interesting part of having someone with you is some of the shortcomings of your setup become obvious to other people. I've been persevering with the sleeping bag because it's packs away really small and it's lightweight. But it really isn't built for someone quite as grand as I am. Because when I have both of my arms inside it, it's like I'm vacuum packed in it. And it's not really that warm either. I've just been tolerating it because it's light. And man, light is the key, eh? Light really is the key to getting up hills. improvement here. I've really been enjoying coming out on the weekends. It's 6 months ago I was probably, to be fair, playing PlayStation in the weekends or something like that. And getting out and just being active, like, it is draining. I know I get to Monday, and my legs are tired and stuff like that, and my body's tired. Just generally, I'm tired. But I don't know. It feels a little bit more fulfilled, I suppose. Like, it's weird to talk about myself like this, but it really does have some massive, like, mental benefits. It's, you feel, man, I've never felt more capable. Just get out there and do it. And if it sucks, it's just, it's just part of doing it. Like a friend of mine reminded me last weekend that it never always gets worse. And there's a bunch of sayings like this, and these motivational sort of statements that people have made. But yeah, there's definitely something to it. And in the mental capacity, it's like you realise, I guess it's taken it from, like, doing what I do at work, being the most physical thing that I do all week. Now, work is just the thing I do in between the most physical things I do in the week. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm struggling to explain it better, but so at the moment I'm pumping concrete for a living, which is a reasonably physical job. Doesn't really require any sort of like fitness or endurance, but it is definitely, it requires definitely a lot of strength and probably a lot of focus as well. Unless you want to ruin a bunch of people's day, but, you have to pay a bit of attention to it. And then there's obviously the machine operation part. You got a remote control there, running, moving the truck around. But yeah. So in a short period of time, being this year, so what are we? 5 weeks, 6 weeks in to the year. It's gone from that being the most physical thing I do to just like what I do in between getting out to hunt. And I suppose the big drive at the moment is that the raw or the rut or whatever you want to call it, it's coming up in April, and I'm just trying to build up as much experience as I can and then especially in the next 6 weeks, right, and leading up to April. It's sort of just, the more I get out here and do it, the better my fitness is, better my strength is, just get that muscle memory going. But also, the more you see, just the more data points you have to sort of draw from. I think that's where I'm going. And I figure now, I put in the work now, and that makes it easier then. And it's nice to think that perhaps an opportunity to do something special comes about then. And be able to harvest something that's, really is memorable. I think anything at the moment will be super memorable. Obviously, my first harvest is obviously going to be, but yeah, there's a cool opportunity coming up, and I'm doing absolutely everything in my power I can to be like as good as I can be for being 3.5, 4 months into hunting. See? Morning, everyone. It's the next morning. It was a fairly average sleep last night. What was a joke at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon about the sleeping bag and its inadequacies came to roost last night at about 1 o'clock when I woke up. I was like proper cold, and I had to race outside to take a leak. And then as I come back in, I was like full-blown shivering and really struggling. So I ended up with all my thermals on, a ferry-down jacket stuffed down inside the sleeping bag with me, just cocooned in it. And then shortly after that, I still wasn't getting warm. So LaWanda jumped up and made me a cup of tea. And I had an energy bar as well, just to put something in my stomach. But yeah, as much as lightweight's the key, the things I would have given up for having a heavier sleeping bag last night, it's probably brought it to the point where I realise I've pushed it a bit hard, like a dickhead, carrying that little lightweight sleeping bag around, and I need to upgrade that. What I have noticed though is you have this fixed list of things that you want to get next, and for me it's been boots. And since I've wanted new boots, I've bought a tent because I wouldn't have survived out here in a fly. And now I'm going to buy a sleeping bag and a thermal rest, a better sleeping mat, just because they also have a layer of insulation in them as well, which keeps the cold coming up out of the ground, and the cold was attacking from everywhere last night. So all great learnings, but yeah, it was probably the toughest night I've had. I'm very grateful that I had someone here with me, because it would have been a long cold night sitting up listening to Joe Rogan podcast by myself otherwise. So now it's tucker time anyway, so we're going to have some brekkie and enjoy some coffee. It is there's about 40 metres of visibility outside at the moment, so it's hard to get motivated to push on in this. You can't see anything, and feeling a bit broken after a real shitty night's sleep. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy my coffee. Can you hear the difference? Little gas bottle's probably getting a bit cold. Just like everything else around here, to be honest. So I was hoping to get lucky 2 weekends in a row and have rain turn into a clear day, and really missed the mark on this one. So it's probably a lesson in reading the weather a bit better there somewhere. We've been for a cruise around this hill. it's no real sign. It's got a couple of footprints, but nothing too serious. Up the top, it's full of fog. Down the valley, it's full of fog. Where we are, it's full of fog. So, much get back to where we stashed the bag. Make our way down through that valley. There's a sort of obvious track through the beech forest there. And then yeah, get back to the car. Snickers, but hey everyone. So following the hunt, there's a pretty massive learning about sleeping equipment made that night. It truly was one of the coldest nights I've had, and it was yeah, good lesson learned. So I thought we'd have a quick chat about some of the gear that both LaWanda and I took. So over here we got the sleeping mat that I've been using. It was a very cost-effective one with a inflating bellow, and you just sort of pump away, and it does it gives you about 4 centimeters, which to be honest isn't a lot. It is better than the ground though, but the cold does come up through it quite a lot. Like that's definitely something I've noticed about this, as opposed to what LaWanda's running, which she's running an insulated thermarest. This has a layer of insulation, and it is probably twice the thickness as well, and the cold really doesn't come up with it. And it has this handy inflating bag, so you can sort of just catch a couple of puffs of wind in it, or blow in a little bit, and then this connects to the bag, and you just roll this up, and that's how you get the air inside it. And it's really simple. 3 of these, and this mat's full. So yeah, so that's definitely one component of it. I think weight wise, there's a couple of 100 grams difference between these two, but this one is definitely lighter. And I was fairly envious, to be fair, after being able to experience them both, to the point where if I could get my feet that night, if I got my feet up onto this thermarest, that was so much warmer than being on mine. So that's that was one of the learnings. By far and away, the biggest learning was about the sleeping bag, and it was almost it was all fun and games, having a good old laugh about this son of a gun here, because it is well, it is as designed, light, and we're having a good chuckle about that, and it is small as well. This is the sleeping bag that I've owned for probably 10 years now, and I bought this one because it was the biggest one they sold, and I've never been cold in it, but I'm not really that keen to run with this one, just because I've managed to dig up some of the stats on it, and these two actually have really similar temperature ratings, and it's quite important to understand those temperature ratings, like the way they affect. It's based on body size, so I imagine it's some sort of volume thing, and someone of my volume probably consumes a bit more heat than someone of a slightly smaller volume with some air space inside the sleeping bag. Perhaps that's a little bit of where I went wrong too. By the time you stretch them out, there's just no air left in them to warm them up. So it's probably not ideal to be like vacuum sealed into a sleeping bag. This is LaWanda's Great Outdoors. It's a full down sleeping bag, and she was cozy. She was really comfortable, and interestingly enough, I threw these on the scales just before we started this. I just wanted to have an understanding of the weight. And this one came in at 1.1 kilos, which it's essentially 1.1 kilos wasted in carrying it up a hill. This one was 1.5 kilos, and yeah, this is I think we were talking, it's probably 20 years old, the sleeping bag. So it's well travelled, but it also it's reliable, and it does as advertised. And this big old guy here is 2.3 kilos, so I really am in no rush to drag this up a hill. It's something I've been looking into all week, trying to get a new sleeping bag. With the current state of shipping and things like that, it's a little bit difficult to get my hands on what I want, because I want to go top of the line. I don't want to go through that experience again, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm willing to put an investment, which is essentially my boots money, into better sleeping gear, which is also fit for purpose, and comes in at a reasonable weight. I think my focus on weight and what I was carrying is probably led me down a path a little bit. So it's I think that's the biggest learning I've had so far, and I think it's an important one too, is it's around understanding how your gear works, and what you can do to improve your situation when things aren't going quite right, like, you know, getting your thermals on. And I also run a sleeping bag liner, just a cotton one. That makes a difference as well. But it's the steps you can take to improve your situation. I feel like a sleeping bag should be almost an emergency piece of kit. Like, if the shit's properly hit the fan, you can climb in your bag and get warm, or keep warm, or at least just get yourself through a situation. Maybe just gets you to the next day or the next morning or something like that, and then you can make some better moves, but you haven't been sitting there freezing all night. Like, the stages of hypothermia come on quick, and they are very distorting to the way your brain works. So I think this is an essential piece of kit, and it should be, you know, on the list of like a first aid sort of kit. It's an important thing, and I know I won't be so light-hearted about my choices and what I pack, just so I don't have to carry a couple of 100 grams extra up a hill.
Big breakfast coming up, eh, babes?
Big breakfast. Toast, avocado and feta. I'm going to have steak and eggs. And my drinks.
And the hunting bit.
That's all right. That happens sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Good walk. Good walk.
Short walk.
Little cappuccino.
Yeah. Double. Oh, it's actually it's a latte. The double shot latte. I'm having the double shot latte.
It's a hard life being a content creator. Currently my producer is pushing further ahead up this hill so she can film me walking up it. So take this moment to have a breather, I suppose.
Yeah, there she is. Made her way to the top of that ridge to film it. Producing YouTube videos ain't easy.